There have been reports that the iPhone 15 is going to be delayed, perhaps pushing into October. And I'm just going to tell you right now, that is most likely not going to happen. And I'll explain why in just a second. And I'll also fill you in on some new color rumors, some updates to the potential price changes that might be happening, as well as new information on what the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max's new action button could be used for. But before we get into all of that, please, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos like this one in the future. But of course, I really just want to hear from you in the comments down below. So anything that you hear me say that you have a comment in, you want to have a conversation about, go ahead, jump in those comments and let me know. So as I said in the beginning of this video, Apple might have had to delay the launch of the latest iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max by a few weeks, perhaps pushing into October, due to Apple's supply chain constraints, according to an analyst that works for Bank of America. But fortunately, we just got reports from a few different outlets, and specifically from display analyst Ross Young, who's very tied into all things displays. He seems to indicate that the Pro model production is ramping up, and that the display issues seem to have been resolved, and that some of this stuff might have just gotten overblown, and that there won't be any potential impacts to the iPhone 15 lineup and production. So if you're planning to upgrade in September, that time frame should just be totally fine. Of course, assuming that Apple actually releases these phones in September, like the company usually does. Now, speaking of the iPhone 15 Pro, yesterday, the fourth beta of iOS 17 was released to developers, and it seems to have some new code snippets potentially hinting at the functionality for that rumored action button. So the action button, which could be similar to the Apple Watch Ultra's action button, but with more phone-focused options, is expected to be a new physical button on the next generation Pro iPhone models that replaces the this little thing right here, the ring silent switch. Now, the code only lists what the button can be mapped to, so we're just going to make an educated guess as to what some of these things would be. But the names that were found were shortcuts, so just assuming like the Apple Watch Ultra, you can put in your favorite shortcut that you have in the app and have it tied to this button. Silent mode, self-explanatory. Camera, flashlight, focus modes, obviously those are self-explanatory, but then there's accessibility, which we're assuming is going to enable different features like maybe voiceover, zoom, assistive touch, etc. There's magnifier, which we're guessing is the magnifying glass feature, translate, and voice memos. Now, I kind of figured this button would be limited to what Apple kind of puts in for you. So like the Apple Watch Ultra's action button was limited to a select few choices. Same thing with the iPhone, but these are already way more choices than I was anticipating. And so happy with the list so far, but honestly, if we could just be able to route it to open any app, that would be like the icing on the cake for me, and I would be totally happy. But the list so far, it includes camera, shortcuts, and a couple of other things. So I think I can get by, and I'm really excited to see what this button can do and how it works, and if there's any room for new features with that button in the future. Another rumor for the Pro model is the new color option, because last year with the 14 Pro and Pro Max, we got this purple, and now this year, a lot of rumors are hinting at a new darker blue option, which should have a little bit of gray tone to it. And so that's likely the new option headed to the Pro and Pro Max lineup. Curious to know your thoughts. Here are some renders that we worked out and what we think it's going to look like based on all of the leaks and rumors. So I want to know if you're digging or if you're into this color and thinking about getting it. And last but not least, this is something that you're probably not going to be into, and that's suspected price hikes for the iPhone 15 lineup. And again, all of this is targeting the Pro models. Now, according to Bloomberg, Apple plans to increase its overall revenue by just raising the price of the 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max. Now, currently, the 14 Pro starts at $999, and the 14 Pro Max, that starts at $1099. And so if this was to happen, we're assuming this might be at least a $1099 price point for the Pro and then $1199 for the Pro Max. But it's unclear whether Apple is actually going to do this or not. It's just been some of the rumors. Hopefully Apple does not, and we get kind of that Apple Watch Ultra surprise where we were expecting this watch to be like, I don't know, some people were reporting like $1,200, $1,300, and it ended up being $799, and we were pleasantly surprised. I doubt Apple's going to actually drop the price lower than what it's already starting at, but $999 and $1099, I think we can live with that. If you're somebody who subsidizes the phone, that's probably more than like, just a few dollars, so you probably would be okay with it, but for those of you who buy it outright, an extra $100 is not ideal, but it is what it is. But of course, again, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. How are you feeling about all of this, all of these rumors? There's a lot focusing on the Pro models right now because that's where all of the new features and a lot of the interest and info lies. And so that's what we have, but I want to hear from you again in the comments down below. This has been Dan with Macrumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.